we're all in some season of life, and we're in different seasons depending on what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it's really good to do a reset and figure out what season you're in and what does that season require for you to get where you want to go.
Welcome to the Blackberry Podcast, where we share stories, wisdom, and insight from the amazing people we get to meet and collaborate with at Blackberry Farm. I'm Sarah Chabot.
And I'm Mary Celeste Beall, and I'm so excited to have our guest today, Dr. Henry Cloud, a well-known clinical psychologist, author, consultant, and so much more. We are so excited that you're here at Blackberry with us.
It's always good to be here.
You've been to Blackberry quite a few times.
Many, many times.
And I love
As the scales can attest to.
I mean, don't be saying that people gain weight when they come to Blackberry, Henry.
I won't say that. Can we edit that out? I actually don't know if I do or not. I just know that everything is so good. I just don't stop.
But right now you're here at Blackberry for an event called Spring Reset.
Yeah.
So you're sitting down talking to guests about setting some boundaries, figuring out what's ahead.
Well, the theme, we actually came up with it together. Springtime symbolizes a new season, and we're all in some season of life, and we're in different seasons depending on what's happening. And sometimes it's really good to do a reset and figure out what season you're in and what does that season require for you to get where you want to go.
I really loved your talk yesterday about pruning. I think that the concept, my good friend Doug Bannister, who you met last year, he is our pastor, but he did the Easter service here. So Henry has been here a lot, as I said, but he has this great sermon on pruning. And I loved when you brought that up yesterday about in order to move forward, you really have to be able to cut things out.
If you think about it, there's a famous passage out of Ecclesiastes that the birds turned into a song. Remember the song, Turn, Turn, Turn? To everything there's a season.
Yeah.
And it goes through all of these beginnings and endings. There's a time to plant. There's a time to uproot what you've planted. There's a time to embrace. There's a time to refrain from embracing. And life is like a rose bush. We generate over time more buds and branches just from being active than we can actually sustain. And that's why, this beautiful place, you guys have to prune to get to the vision of what the plant's supposed to look like. And our lives are like that. And it's very important that you are looking at what activities, what committees, what clubs, what, even in a company, what product lines, what initiatives might have fit a certain season, but they don't fit today, and they certainly don't fit tomorrow, and we have to cut those. So, the vine needs all the resources like they can provide, and our efforts need our time and energy. Those are limited, and we have to prune sometimes the good stuff to get to the best. And you're always pruning towards something. I was sharing with them when I shot an episode about pruning for our leadership university. I went to Tuscany and I met with the number one winemaker in the world to have him teach me about pruning. And the first thing he said was, well, we don't just start cutting stuff. You prune towards a vision. And so if you think about your life, it could be your marriage, it could be your family, it could be your health, it could be your career. You've got to start with, what do I want it to look like? What is it I'm actually trying to grow here? What am I trying to build? And then you prune towards that. So you look, what is it in my life today that doesn't fit the future? And sometimes those can be hard decisions. Sometimes there's people. And the season might have passed, or that branch is sick and it's not going to get well, and they don't want to come to the party and get sober or something, or in a company improve their performance. And sometimes they're hard decisions, but they're important.
Early on, I kind of realized that there were going to be people that were going to maybe be in our life for different seasons, whether it was literally a lacrosse season or, someone that maybe kind of had more time available during a stretch, or maybe someone was not in our life as much during a season, not for any reason other than they had other things happening.
Mhm.
And I think it's really interesting when you're not even having to make a choice. It's one thing when you have to kind of make a designated decision about a relationship or moving forward with something or not. But there are people that just kind of weave in and weave out
Mhm.
naturally that we don't even have a say over.
I mean, even as a psychologist, you know, a psychologist can become very important to someone for a season. But hopefully, it's like raising kids. One day that season ends, even though they can be very, very important. Now, there are other relationships like marriage and
Mhm.
things those are meant to go the long haul. But even in those, there are seasons of activities and how you're working together and what you're
Mhm.
doing. Those have to be pruned to get ready for the next season.
Mhm.
That's why a lot of people get stuck.
And as you're like pruning together, I mean, just taking this to a couple situation, as you're pruning together, you might still have different goals about different things, and how I guess it's just communication and compromise that helps you get to the long vision of what you're trying to get to.
Well, the things you're pruning together, hopefully you have shared goals.
Hmm.
But if you just take a family, for example,
Hmm.
um, what you've got to realize is there's usually more than one stakeholder
Hmm.
that has to eat from this pie.
Mhm.
And so in a marriage, if you take that example, there's the marriage itself,
Hmm.
and then there's two individuals,
Hmm.
before you even get to kids. And and in time and energy and money and resources, all three of those stakeholders have got to get fed.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Like a marriage, for example, that only one person gets their needs met in time and interest and
Hmm.
all that, that's not going to work. Or
Right.
only the other one, or if it's only we and the individuals don't get what they need.
Mhm.
And so sometimes there we have a shared goal, and sometimes the shared goal is to make sure the individuals are getting what they need as well.
Okay, that brings up a great point. Oh my gosh, I could talk to you forever, Henry. But, there's so much talk about self-care
Yeah.
in today's world, and I do, as a mother of 5, I do try to say, "Okay, what do I need?" Because someone told me this kinda right after saying, but they were like, "Look, you have to put your cape on first." Kinda like the airplane analogy of
Yeah.
you have to put on your mask first, because if I can't take care of myself and I'm not in a good place, then I cannot take care of other people, which I totally get. But I also think, this younger generation is hearing this self-care, which is great, and I think they should take care of themselves, but it's like, how do you weave in if you have some how do you make sure the self-care isn't becoming selfish?
It's really, really important because the real word you need to think about is it egocentric?
Mhm.
In other words, there's you're not selfish for taking care of yourself. You ate today.
Mhm.
You drank water today. You're breathing today. Those are good things. Selfishness is when it's all me all the time.
Mhm.
So when I hear people talking about self-care and that's they got to do, I'm burned out. Well, first of all, I got to ask you, how can you be burned out if you've never been on fire? You- you- I mean, people get burned out because they're giving, 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 or it's in a way that doesn't work or whatever. So self-care is is important if you're what we call, you know, object related. You have love objects in your life that you're related to, and
Mhm.
and you're taking care of them and you're serving them and all of that, and you need to make sure that you're getting your needs met also. So it becomes a problem when you can't answer the question, well, when are you serving somebody else? If
Right.
there's nobody else in the scenario, then that's total narcissism.
Yeah.
I worry about it today. There's so much, we don't hear enough about how, and I don't want to sound like I'm saying this in the wrong way, but the happiest people, as research shows, the happiest people are givers.
Mhm.
Mhm.
The most unhappy people are the ones that are self-centered.
Mhm.
But if somebody's giving and giving and giving to where it's either codependent or enabling or,
Mhm.
whatever, they're not happy either because that's really not giving. A
Mhm.
lot
Right.
of times that's because I have to, or, I'm scared to say no or something like that. So, you know, systems have to make sure that they work together. And any relationship that works is mutually beneficial.
Mhm.
Right.
So the self-centeredness in this, I mean, I'm sure our parents said it too. In this generation, Aristotle said that. Those younger people,
Right.
but it's a big problem, and a lot of it is coming because you hear so much about the anxiety epidemic and all of that, which a lot of it is not being caused by there not being given to enough. A lot of it is being caused by their being over given to and over taken care of and not required to develop agency and independence and self-sufficiency.
Mhm.
It's a big problem.
My
I'll,
husband
I'll get hate mail for that, but I'm sorry, it's true.
my husband and I both do a lot of things. Like we both work here and have a lot of hobbies and outside commitments. And sometimes I feel like I know when he's working a food and wine event or something, like I'm not expecting I need to give to him when he
Mhm.
comes home.
Right.
Right. Like I need to
Yeah.
make sure there's like something to eat and then if I'm at a horse show or something like that, he knows the support that I need. So sometimes it's just like the moment or the context or the season you're in
Mhm.
for your partner or for
Mhm.
the other giving, you know?
I always hear, if a friend or someone seems down, it always seems to be a good idea to maybe get outside of your own self and do something for someone else.
Absolutely.
And it seems like a good way to not only a distraction, but it's so rewarding and it just kind of gives you great perspective.
It's rewarding. It actually gets good chemicals running through your brain that are health producing. And a lot of times people will say, "Well, it's good to get your mind off yourself and focus on
Mm.
somebody else because it's
Mhm.
a distraction." True, but it's also it fuels something inside of us. I remember when our girls, we have two daughters, and Olivia was in I don't know, probably some kind of preschool. Maybe she was 4, something like that. And so I said, Olivia, okay, today at school, I want you to share with somebody and then come back and tell me what happened. So she comes back that afternoon. I said, so how'd it go? She said, well, there was a girl when we were having playtime. There was a girl at the snacks, and she didn't have a cookie, and I had two. And I went over and I gave her my cookie, and I said, Olivia, that's exactly what we're talking about. And then she goes, Daddy, what was it? I said, what was what? She said, in here.
Oh.
She's pointing to her little chest. She says, in here. I said, what do you mean? She said, it felt warm inside.
Oh.
What was that? I said, that's love, Libby.
Oh,
That's what happens when you share.
that's so
And that's
sweet.
what I mean by it fuels us. It's sometimes it's a good distraction, get out of the noise up here, but we're actually made to give and receive.
Mhm.
And it's very important.
It's interesting thinking about the receiving because I think some people aren't good at receiving.
You're
And
right.
sometimes I'm that way. I'm like, no, I can do it. I don't need help. Or, eh, you know, it's interesting to think about that piece too.
It is. And again, you get back to the neurobiology of it as well as a number of other things. There's a proverb. It says, a longing fulfilled becomes a tree of life.
Hmm.
And we actually have needs and desires. And if it takes vulnerability, and I mean, it's humility, say, to receive something, right? Because you can't get back, you can't pay for it. If you're
Mhm.
paying for it, you're not receiving anything.
Mm.
And I love that verse because it says it becomes a tree of life. You think about that when you receive something that's truly touches a need or a desire. It's not just that, it's internalized and it becomes a tree that gives off ongoing fruit. It's like a baby when they receive the milk, what happens? It wasn't just a moment, that sprouts new cells and all
Mhm.
sorts of good stuff that you internalize it and
Mhm.
you carry it with you. It's the same reason why, like if you're hard at work and you're at your desk and it's stress and all that, and you you've got your kids, you know, framed a picture on your desk, and you look, see that smile right there. See what I'm talking about? You're not with your kids, but you look at this picture. Why did that smile come? Because they live in here
Mhm.
and you've internalized them. And we're made to internalize relationship. So my kid can play in the backyard at age 3 and not age 1.5, and mommy's with them and they're fine because they've taken her in.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And so that's why receiving is so important. We draw life from outside of ourselves.
Mhm.
It becomes internal equipment you carry with you.
I like that internal equipment.
Yeah, what once was outside becomes inside, but only from a place of vulnerability and need. Otherwise, it's water off a duck's back. And some people, you try to give them a compliment, or, oh no, well, they didn't do any good.
Well, how do you like, I think sometimes when maybe I should say I get stressed or a little bit overwhelmed, that's when my receiving shuts off,
Mm.
the most. And it's like, what's a good way to just let yourself be open? Is there like I don't want to say a trick, but a tip to get you there?
Well, there is a trick in the sense of that what you've done is a lot of people don't even do that. When they get stressed, everybody's heard it. Your
Mhm.
amygdala gets hijacked, and instantly you're in fight, flight, or freeze mode.
Mhm.
Okay. So you get stressed. The fight mode is you're pushing away the outside world.
Mhm.
Flight mode is you pulling yourself, and I can do it, or you might get paralyzed. The fact that you've noticed it, you know, our our systems get trained to go down this stress path
Mhm.
without stopping that train.
Mhm.
And if you could learn the signals in your body and sometimes in your head that you're stressed and just stop. One of the best things you can do is just stop. A good breathing exercise.
Mhm.
You go in to here, but then you pause and you go a little higher and then you let it out. That's a manufactured natural sigh.
Mhm.
And what that does is it triggers the parasympathetic functions that calm you down. And then for the first time, you're thinking,
Mhm.
you're not reacting.
Yeah.
You have
Mhm.
choices.
I
You
do think it's amazing just how taking 1 or 2 deep breaths, belly breathing, makes such a difference.
It's true.
Mhm.
I mean, even just putting your feet on the ground and just closing your eyes for 2 breaths just, like, resets.
It does reset, it grounds you. It's why sometimes, people with panic attacks will tell 'em, go get an ice cube in each hand and just feel it. It'll calm you down. Mhm.
Fortunately, I don't have panic attacks. But that is good to know. Okay, can we go back to anxiety a little bit? I feel like there's so much talk about anxiety.
Yeah, it's a big deal, especially after COVID. We used to see the diagnosis. I don't know what the numbers are exactly right now, but there were certain, it's in the low teens, people that could be diagnosed with an anxiety disorder. Starting in 2020, it just went up,
Mhm.
and I think it's still pretty high.
So you've already dropped a lot of wisdom on us at the beginning of this. I'm like, I feel like I really need to catch up because you've written 40 books.
I don't know. I
That
really don't know.
There's so many, but
They say it's 40 something, but I don't
40
know.
something books.
Yeah.
And you've got a new book coming out.
Mhm.
Um,
Pretty much right now, I think.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So tell us about where you're taking people through this book and what's in it.
It's called Your Desired Future. And basically, it's how literally, and I mean literally, anything gets from here to there.
Love it.
And I got I got kind of enthralled with that. I work a lot with companies and businesses and family entities. And the so much stuff out there in the leadership space, but there's topics, there's strategy and execution and change management and all this.
Mm.
But I've always found that it's good for people to have a little model that serves like an anchor, sort of like a dashboard,
Mhm.
and you can ask yourself, "Am I doing these things?"
Mhm.
And I was trying to, what I did was I factor analyzed all of that and said, what buckets are there buckets that tell us how to move something from here to there, whether you're trying to improve a relationship,
Mhm.
get over a depression, build a business, increase market share, whatever you got to move. Here's where we are. And we want to get there.
Mhm.
So I thought it just dawned on me one day, the human body is the greatest design of an organism that's ever been invented. I mean, all AI is trying to do is become like us, right? That's ever been designed. How does a human body get from here to there?
Mm.
So I went into neuroscience and neuroanatomy and physiology and psychology and how does all this work? It's unbelievable the way you're designed. So if I'm sitting here
Mhm.
and we started to say, and we'll try to make this fast, but it's going to take a minute.
Well, you wrote a whole book on
Yeah.
So,
it.
and and I thought, it's like my Doberman, when the FedEx guy comes to the door, she does what she's wired to do. She runs the door, "Rah, rah, rah, rah." But I've never heard her go bark and stop and go, I wonder if that was helpful. And the bigger question, I wonder if barking like that will get me closer to where I want to be on Thursday.
Uh-huh.
That's reserved for the human species. Only we have the ability to be where we are in life and conceive of a desired future state. There was a vision for this place before it existed. It wasn't here.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Sam saw it in his head.
Mhm.
Martin Luther King saw a day when people were judged by the quality of their character, not the color of their skin. We can do that. So in any area of life, the first thing your brain does is going, you know what, we're doing okay here. It'd be better if I was sitting over there.
Mhm.
That's a vision.
Mhm.
The neuroscience of what happens when you clearly have a vision of where you want to go, what your brain begins to organize through memory networks and all this other stuff, all sorts of systems to help you get there.
Mhm.
So you got to get your vision first.
Mhm.
Secondly, okay, brain, let's go.
Mhm.
My brain ain't going anywhere by
Right.
itself.
Right.
Next thing it does is it engages the talent it's going to need to help it get there.
Mhm.
You need a couple of legs, going to need some eyes, focus me, inner ear to balance me. It puts its team together. If you're going from here to there and you can't do it and you hadn't done it, and you are going to have to bring other talent to the table. You might
Mhm.
need a coach, a mentor, people to run the cameras, somebody
Mhm.
knows about how to, I mean, you don't know how to produce a podcast, but you're great at hosting one, right? But it we got to figure out, who do I need to help me pull this off? That's the way we're designed.
Mhm.
When Brady went to Tampa Bay to win the Super Bowl, what did he do? They hadn't won a game and they hadn't made the playoffs in 10 years. First thing he did was he looked at him and said, the talent is not there that can win a Super Bowl. So he recruited the talent first.
Mhm.
So then you got, okay, got my arms and legs. I'm ready to go. All right. How am I going to get there? Well, I could call an Uber. Nah, just going across the rent. Well, maybe it'd take a flight. No, we look at the context and figure out what's the best way to get there. What's my strategy?
Mhm.
And a lot of times people don't do this. They just start moving and doing stuff.
Mhm.
But you've got to figure out what's the best way to pull this off. And then when you have a strategy, your brain actually says, if I'm going to walk, that's my strategy.
Mhm.
It organizes a plan. It knows how many steps it's going to take, at what speed, and how long it's going to take to get there. It really does this.
Yeah.
And then you start to go, and then the next thing kicks in. It measures whether or not you're doing what you said you were going to do, and it holds you accountable. If I start to wander off, the last thing is it fixes
The
that.
strategy brings you back.
The accountability
Mhm.
system brings you back to the strategy.
Okay.
So it's like a pilot. They got a flight plan.
Mhm.
Their accountability system. You said you were going to be at 40,000 feet. You're at 38,000. You're burning fuel.
Mhm.
They let you know, and you quickly adjust.
Okay.
And so when we have that in place in life, you're going to get there. And what we don't do correctly is we will build our lives in our own image. And
Mm.
we're not good at all five. Nobody is. You might be a visionary, but accountability, what if you're conflict avoidant?
Right.
You can't hold people accountable. Or what if you're not strategic? Or what if all you are is strategic, but you have no vision? You're just doing all sorts of plans. And we just have to get above it and say, okay, whatever I'm trying to do I know where I'm going? Do I have the right people to help me get there? A coach, a mentor, a guide, teammates, whoever it is.
Mhm.
Do I know what we're going to do in order to win? And we've specifically outlined those activities. And are we measured to see, are we doing what we said we were going to do? And if we're not, we fix it. You'll
Mhm.
get there. But we don't think about it that way. We just bark, like Finley runs to the door and barks. And sometimes we don't get there. But if you think about that, even getting your kids to school on time, you got a vision. We're in the van at 8:00. All right. You gotta engage the talent. Everybody, we're gonna need you to do the dishes, we're gonna need you to do this. And everybody is gonna come, make that happen. And then we're gonna measure it and hold it accountable. 7:30, I want you down here.
Mhm.
And it's just the way everything works.
When
It's
you
how to lose 100 pounds, how to fix a marriage, it's how to build a global enterprise.
What happens when like speed comes into factor? Like whether you're a pilot or an athlete, and is there something in there where your strategy and your accountability meet, but they have to meet really fast? Is that where practice comes in?
Well, it's where how you design it, and it's a very important point. What you're talking about is you're talking about the cadence of accountability.
Hmm.
Okay, now uh, an airliner, the first accountability in fix and correct systems, the autopilot,
Hmm.
and it goes thousands of times it'll make corrections because, and this is key to your life, everybody has problems. You're going to go on a new workout program. One morning you wake up, you had a nice night the night before. You're like, and you hit the alarm. No, I'm sleeping in. Okay, that happens. That's life. Or somebody misses a deadline or whatever. Problems happen. That's okay if you fix it quickly. If you don't, and here's what the research shows: when you sleep in 2 mornings in a row, you don't have a problem now. You got a pattern.
Mm.
Mm,
You add a third sleep in morning, it's like New Year's resolutions. It's gone.
mm,
Problems can be quickly corrected. Problems allowed to repeat themselves, it's like raising kids, that becomes a pattern. Pattern is a mutation. Mutation alters DNA, and DNA is identity.
Mhm.
So you're no longer the company that missed a product launch, you're the company that misses product launches.
Mm.
That's why what you said about the cadence
Mhm.
and measuring it is so important. Don't let things continue.
mm. Okay, well,
Stop
I have a
them.
pattern of being late.
I wasn't going to bring that up
Well,
at all.
actually,
Sorry.
Mary Celeste, there's no such thing.
But I
No,
can
no, hold
break
on.
that.
No, there's no such thing as somebody who's chronically late. You can't be late is when you don't show up on time once. If you're always late, you're always on time. You just have different time than everybody else.
Thank
You're
you,
running on
Henry. Thank
Mary
you.
Celeste time.
Thank you. Well, it is very disrespectful. I'm sorry.
Well, but we're always trying to like find a way to be better, or at least I actually have a problem with reading self-help books, and just too many of them. Probably probably good for your business, but like I'm always looking to try
I
to
don't know.
be
You may be reading the wrong ones.
might be right. Yeah. um but with that, it's like if we've created a pattern, or we've created a behavior that sticks with us, what is the best way to like reset and break it if we want to?
Well, want to is the whole topic. in and of
That's a
itself.
whole podcast.
Because
Yeah.
people will often say, well, if she wanted it bad enough, she would do it.
Mm.
That's absolutely not true. I mean, in fact, it can be inversely correlated.
Okay.
Sometimes the more people desire something, if they're unable to pull it off, they actually get more and more depressed
Mhm.
because of the desire. Now,
Mhm.
desire is good,
Mhm.
but the biggest factor in whether or not a goal gets achieved, number one, is the belief that it can be done.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And people get stuck here because they don't believe they can do it. Take you off the table for a second,
Mhm.
okay? What I'm talking about is it possible for this to happen?
Mhm.
We know a lot of people that have learned to show up on time or learned to lose weight or learned to stop. I can introduce you to thousands of addicts who have gotten sober. So
Right.
let's check that one off. Can we
Okay.
agree
Yeah.
it is possible?
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about that anymore.
Mhm.
Now the question becomes, then how did they do it?
Mhm.
So you've got to look at, and motivation's important, but you can't depend on motivation because it wanes.
Mm.
It wanes. We know that. There's a drop off after the initial burst.
Mhm.
So what becomes important is that when you decide that you want to do this, exactly like I said earlier, you have got to know what kind of abilities have to be at the table for this to happen. If you're going to cure an infection,
Mhm.
you probably aren't asking your dog to write the prescription, right? I need somebody to bring something to the party that's got some intelligence and know how to do this. And then we've got to design the activities
Mhm.
that are going, the biggest factor after belief is consistent small actions.
Mhm.
Mhm. Okay.
Nobody does it at once. So you're going to break this habit.
Mhm.
All right. You've got to figure out some kind of structure that begins to replace whatever you were doing with some new action. See, wiring doesn't go away, it becomes dormant as new wiring is built.
Mm.
So you're not breaking a bad habit. What you're doing is you're learning a different new one.
Mhm.
I love that.
I
Okay.
love that. It's crowding out that
Yes.
concept. Whether it's eating or an activity, you just fill your time with something more
Yeah.
positive.
When did you not eat? Oh, I didn't have time for lunch.
Mhm.
You just broke a bad habit. No, you didn't. You just replaced it with,
It's a different
with
action.
something but something helped you to do that.
Right.
Okay. Now think of it this way. If you think of the word structure,
Mhm.
the word structure actually it comes from the word that means to build.
Mm.
We're structuring something. This is a
Mhm.
structure, it's a building. When when y'all grow the plants
Mhm.
here, you plant them and you'll have a lattice.
Right.
Mm.
That's a structure because the plant doesn't have the ability structure
Mhm.
inside of it yet to stand up on its own and do that.
Mhm.
So we put a lattice and then it grows and then it gets strong enough to do it. Now you've heard 21 days to break a habit.
Mhm.
Totally not true. It's more like 80 or 90. And
Okay.
Mhm.
because of that,
But you got to get to 21 to get to 80.
you got to
So
get to
we got to,
18 to get to 21.
yes.
And to get to 18, you got to get to the first one.
Right.
But what you've got to do is you've got to have some sort of structure that's going to keep you on that
Mhm.
rail
Right.
because you don't have it inside yourself yet.
Mhm.
Right.
Might be in accountability partner, a buddy system, a reminder, a schedule, a group.
Mhm.
A lot of times for people it is external. How many
Well,
times you heard people say, I couldn't get healthy till I got a trainer or
mhm.
till I got a buddy to go
You
jog with
needed
me
a
or whatever.
lattice.
Well, it's interesting the lattice concept because I my mom is an artist and she is very free spirited and we didn't have a ton of structure growing up. But I have found that I resist some structure,
Hmm.
but when I have more structure, it actually gives me more freedom
100%.
because I'm honestly saving the brain power
Mhm.
of even thinking about my day or, even like a school uniform. Love
Oh,
a school
love it.
uniform because it's one less thing that we even think about because there's things we always have to think about that, or things that pop in that you weren't expecting. So it saves the brain power for the unexpected if we have kind of some structure and some rhythm.
How many times have you seen an out of control classroom when the substitute teacher is there?
Right.
Because now the kids are going, and then the principal walks in, all of a sudden, no ADD anymore. I mean,
Right.
everybody's in their seat. Structure is one of the best things that we have in life. It calms us down.
Mhm.
Otherwise, like you're saying, your brain's having to try to hold it all in there. The pilot's checklist?
Mm.
The
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, before the flight, they're checking off a checklist. Boy, this is rocket science. Do we put gas in the plane?
Right.
Have we followed the flight plan? Are the doors closed? The reason where that first came about was it the one of the B-1 or B something bombers. It was the most heralded complex plane ever. And on the initial flight to show off for all the generals of the Air Force and everybody, it took off and it crashed at 500 feet.
Oh.
And they studied it, and the plane was perfect. The problem was it was so complex. There were too many things for the pilots to focus on.
Mhm.
Mhm.
They had to keep too much in their head. That's where the pilot's checklist came from.
Mhm.
Now they check it off, they set it aside, and they have the freedom to
Mhm.
fly the plane. And and I think a lot of the anxiety we see in the younger generation now is a lot of them didn't grow up with enough structure,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
they don't have a lot of structure in their head, and it's like a snow globe that you shake. It's always like that.
Mhm.
But we find that like creativity and freedom also bring so much into our lives. How do you balance the need for structure and also this need for the looseness of the pieces in between?
It's a good point because they're opposite functions, right? Creativity by definition is the giving up of structure.
Hmm.
You're creating something, then there's no limit. You don't want a limit,
Right.
right? You want the freedom, but you've got to balance it with some sort of, the artist has got to keep the paint within a frame
Mhm.
or you don't
Right.
have a painting.
Right. Right.
And so a lot of that can be done intentionally. And if people are finding their creativity is being squashed, what's happened is so much stuff is making demands on their brain that's calling, and it's really the demands are becoming structure.
Hmm.
And that's where you got to intentionally say, you know what, I'm going for a 3-day walk.
Hmm.
One of the things we find about problem solving is when people can fully unplug, your brain can solve things, and then the idea will hit them in the shower. So your
Mhm.
brain was working on that all the time, but it
Mhm.
just had too much crap
Mhm.
that
Right.
that was making noise.
Well, it's interesting because I feel like the structure of, say, our spring reset is, there's plenty of free time.
Yes.
We do have a structure of, we suggest you eat breakfast at this time, lunch at this time. There's these sessions in the morning, dinners at this time. But it takes away the brain power by having a suggested schedule.
100%.
Then everyone can use all their energy, creative energy, whatever energy, to focus on absorbing and listening and then applying what they've heard in the afternoon or while they're walking to lunch or
But if
so.
you overstructured it, they wouldn't be able to do that.
Right.
But
No.
if you had no structure, they'd be wondering, when do we
Right.
eat?
Right.
It's
If
like you wouldn't relax.
without it,
Yeah.
Right.
yeah, structure provides freedom.
Mhm.
Overstructured is confining. So there's
The
been
balance.
studies like if you take people on top of a skyscraper and tell them to go look at the view, he wants you to go as close to the edge because you can't see if you don't get close to the edge, and there's no guardrail. What they'll do is, and I don't know the exact numbers, but they'll stop 8 or 10 feet back, and then they do the second group, and they have a guardrail. What do? They go all the way to the edge.
Mhm.
The little bit of structure provided freedom.
Hmm.
Interesting.
That's why it's so important to have structure with kids, but not over confining it
Mhm.
or too much structure so you're helicoptering so they don't develop agency and
Mhm.
competency.
Yeah.
You give them enough, what's the old saying? Give 'em enough rope where they don't quite hang themselves.
Mhm.
But
Mm. I wanted to go back to the point in your book where you were talking about at first you have to have a vision.
yeah.
I was having a conversation with someone the other day about dreamers and visionaries and the difference between them. And their thought was that dreamers could see something, but they couldn't see the challenges. They didn't understand the challenges to get to the point, and that visionaries had big ideas, but they also understood the challenges. And I was like, but you kind of have to be a dreamer before you become a visionary. And so I guess my question to you is you have to start with a dream or a vision of what you want your life to be before you
100%.
can create the team and the
Yeah,
strategy.
you don't want to start with the limit. I think I was sharing in the session yesterday. I asked the question, where did Google come from? And people say, well, the tech guys, or where where it actually, this is just the way it happened. Larry Page was a graduate student. He goes to this leadership retreat, sort of like our reset, and they taught him a mantra, and the mantra was, have a healthy disregard for the impossible. So when you come up with an idea and don't think the obstacle, why that's not possible,
Mhm,
disregard that.
mhm.
And so he kept saying that over and over and over. And then one morning, out of a deep sleep, he woke up and the thought came to him, what if we downloaded every URL on the entire internet? That's where the search engine was born.
Wow.
But to your point, what if he had said, oh, we don't have enough RAM for that?
Right.
Our computers aren't big enough. You can't you can't think of the limits because you don't discover the limits until you start to go chase the dream, and then you run into the limit, and then you figure out, how do we solve this one? And you keep going.
Got it.
Ultimately, reality will tell you the limit. Don't think you know reality
Mhm.
before reality tells you what it is.
I mean, I could go on forever, but I also know that it's getting close to wrapping it up here. So
Well, Henry probably needs to go have a massage or something.
That's exactly the kind of structure I was looking for.
you're looking for.
But
Uh,
the book is called Your Desired Future,
mhm,
and it's available now. But it's such a simple little model, but it's the way the brain is designed. We're designed to life's supposed to work.
Mhm.
We just
mhm.
have to do it in the way that it's designed to work.
I've got one more sort of series of questions. As you were talking about the spring reset event that's happening here and having structure and also having freedom for it, I kind of feel that that's sort of what vacation or going away to a
Yeah,
place does. It opens up new possibilities, but you've got a plan to get there. You kind of want to make the most of your time. So maybe share a little bit of your thoughts of like just getting
what that
away or
does.
escaping or yeah.
But here's we know a lot about the highest performers in life. And one of the things that's consistent is the highest performers do one thing that a lot of people don't do. They 100% engage
Mhm.
for a while, and then they 100% disengage and get away.
Mhm.
And that's where their brain begins to rebuild itself. And what some people do is stay engaged all the time.
Mhm.
Even if it's just a little bit, right?
It's just a little
Hmm.
bit. And so it's so important to get away. So important. I work with CEOs and leaders and high performer types. And sometimes they'll say, well, I got a lot going on. Can you come here? And I'll say, I can, but I don't recommend it. I think find a
Hmm.
place, get out of your environment. We need to go somewhere. I'll meet you there, or you can come to where I am. But I do not want to do this where you work.
Mhm. Right.
Okay.
Right.
And there's symbolism in there of the space that gets you out of there's the intrusions, there's pulling, there's so much involved with that. But that's, and over many years, that's what Blackberry is for so many people. It's not like people they come here don't accomplish anything in life. They got a
Right.
lot going on, but when they're here, you really can see the unplugging. I don't know if I've ever seen anybody wandering around here fretting over a balance sheet or something. It's an unplugging time.
Yeah.
It used to be very unplugged, I have to say. I do wish the
Wi-Fi's got
Wi-Fi did not work so
Yeah.
well.
yeah.
There was a time when we had to stand basically in our kitchen window and you'd type the text, put it next to this metal piece on the window, and punch send while it was attached to the metal part of the window, and then it would send. But now I've given in and I have Wi-Fi everywhere.
There are people that they can't relax if they don't have it. I mean, they
Mhm.
might not check it, but they know it's there. Sort of like the alarm system at your house. As long as
Mhm.
you're not hearing it, it's fine. But
Mhm.
you know it's there.
Yeah.
So it's a
But I
paradox.
do think for our kids, especially my kids, I think about this a lot. It's just really giving yourself time to just kind of be bored.
Oh my gosh,
And
yes.
I mean, you talking about the most successful people that are really good at disengaging. I think our kids are not learning how to disengage. It's constant entertainment for them or scrolling and it's a tough battle to fight as a
It
mom,
is.
I have to say.
Do you know that Steve Jobs and Bill Gates both prohibited their kids from having screens until way late?
I keep reading that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, that's
It's
a
but there's two things there. I love the word bored because what that means is nothing's from the outside is creating my stimulation,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
I remember when Olivia, one time she was about 8 or 9, I was in my study and she came and said, "Dad, I'm bored." And I said, "Olivia, you're responsible for your own fun, so go find some." And so she disappears, and it's 2 or 3 hours later. I hadn't seen her, and I went up to her room, and she had gone in this old chest with a bunch of old junky toys in it, and dug around and created a whole world because nothing was being provided from the outside, and she
Mhm.
had to engage with life. And a lot of kids are robbed
Mhm.
of that. I mean, we used to you have toys, you made them out of sticks,
Yeah.
and hit each other. It's
Right.
fun stuff.
I mean, I would just dig with a spoon. Literally,
Yeah.
my two sisters and brother would all play tennis, and we'd be running out the door to the tennis place, and my mom would say, bring your crayons, bring whatever, and I would run into the kitchen and get spoons out of the kitchen, and I would dig around like I just would dig around at the tennis courts.
Well, who knew?
Seriously, like I can visualize the spoons now.
Who knew that that would be truffles one day?
Right.
It
Yeah.
started early.
It was early grounding. I was
Early
really
grounding.
connecting.
But the
Um,
creativity and the engagement of creating life and experiences, we can't we have to be careful not to rob kids
mhm,
of that. Go
mhm.
figure it out. I'm not going to provide everything for you. Go figure it out.
Well, I think your point about the finding stimulation from outside sources is not a healthy balance. If you're
Yeah.
always looking for something else to stimulate your creativity or your entertainment and
It's
or
actually
your
an addictive cycle.
yeah, that is a great point.
Dr. Cloud, if you could leave us with one just drop of wisdom, what would the thing you'd walk out of here with?
Unplug and come to Blackberry.
Great. Unplug and go
Ask me a
somewhere.
hard question.
Really quickly, where can people find out more about your book? And
The new book is called Your Desired Future. They can find it wherever books are sold. We all know where that is now.
yeah,
And then
Um,
your website, is it
it's
henrycloud.com?
no, it's just drcloud.com.
Oh, Dr. Cloud.
And
drcloud.com.
you've
I've
got
got
a YouTube
uh,
channel and an
well, I have a whole
Instagram.
platform
Mhm,
that has over 100 courses
mhm.
and tracks for whether you're solving relationship issues or performance or clinical problems. And there's community there, and I do monthly lives with the model. So it's called Becoming Whole. You can find that on the website.
Alright. Oh, we've so
Oh,
enjoyed having you
It's always
today,
good to
and
be
I
here.
feel like there's probably a part 2, 3, and 4 eventually because you'll come back for sure.
I will
yes.
come back.
Well, thank you so much, Henry. It's always great to see you.
Likewise, you too.